So I first became involved in the brewing scene in Glasgow probably about 10 years ago by partaking in a homebrewing event, which was part of the Visual Arts Festival for Glasgow. Got into brewing with a passion. Had a lot of fruit on my allotment and was using the excess fruit to make wines. Started winning homebrew competitions. When I was at uni, won like the kind of Scottish-wide, it was the Institute of Brewing and Distilling competition. And then was headhunted for Drygate, so started working at Drygate, worked my way up to the head brewer there, and then stepped down so that I could work on my own project, which is a gypsy brewing company called Upfront.
My name's Conor McGeady. I run a beer festival called the West End Beer Fest, which is in its third year now. It was really a natural progression. The bar that I manage offers a lot of craft beers and it's something that I'm passionate about, so I introduced it more and more into the bar and the restaurant. From there I started doing tastings and meet the brewer sessions. I kind of saw a gap in the market for a festival in the West End. I took the chance really, it became a big success and we're in our third year running now.
I basically got into the beer scene via working in bars. Whenever I was in a bar and working in any establishment, I always wanted to be the product knowledge guy. So I always wanted to know more about everything that we sold than anyone else. And that led me down the kind of wine and spirits route. So I did a few qualifications in that kind of sector, essentially. And then I got a job at Brewdog. From there on in, it's just been a steady path, managing a couple of their bars and then moving over to Drygate and helping out with bar stuff and event stuff and anything that I can do, essentially.
Given it had only been 3 years in the running, Great Scottish Beer Celebration was the benchmark of the kind of like beer festivals in Glasgow. It was important because it was a great place for brewers to launch beers. It was always where they would kind of showcase like the best of what they were doing, the best of their collaborations. They would wait until Great Scottish Beer Celebration to launch it.
We just decided that the festival itself, whatever it was called, was too important to the Scottish beer scene to just let it fall by the wayside. So we decided, cool, let's make it happen, but we're going to do it for charity.
We had all recently been to the West End Beer Festival, which was successfully organised by Conor. He just seemed like the natural person for it.
Jake got in touch with me and said, look, we've got this idea, maybe it can work. Would you like to take it on and help us get it off the ground?
The people who have really taken this on have really gone over and above, like every minute of their spare time.
So we had 3 weeks. We were lucky that we found $2,000 worth of sponsorship in one day actually, through speaking to the 4 sponsors. Peckham's, Good Spirits Company, the Bon Accord Pub and Drygate.
Obviously with the fire at the art school, that was part of the kind of original idea for the tweet from the ashes when we first started announcing that we were going to start doing the festival again. That was part of the idea that we're doing it at a site that has done exactly the same thing in terms of overcoming adversity and kind of rebuilding from a tragedy. I was in the cinema when this conversation happened about what we were going to call the festival, and I turned my phone off when I went into the cinema. Came out of the cinema, turned my phone back on, and I had about 250 messages of just like, let's call it Beer Makes Glasgow. No, let's call it Glasgow Makes Beer. No, let's call it... So yeah, we went through quite a few different iterations of different names, but they were all revolving around the People Make Glasgow.
I think it was Chris Moriarty of Drygate that came up with it.
As much as it's a pretty kind of twee slogan for the city to have, it's totally true.
It was simple, it made sense. Yeah, we just stuck with it.
It kind of embodies the story of what we have done. We have banded together as a group of beer producers to save something which beer drinkers value.
The name of the Facebook Messenger group is just Glasgow Grit, which sums the whole thing up essentially. Just how unbelievably determined and passionate everyone that works in the scene is to make sure that beer in Glasgow is available to a wider audience.
My name is Jehad Hatu. I am the owner and operator of Grunting Growler. We got involved with the Beer Makes Glasgow Beer Festival just by being friends with everybody in the beer industry. And I think that's like the most important thing about the beer industry in Glasgow is that everyone knows each other, and it's not just like on a professional manner. And I'm having problems with this, can you tell me what to do with my system and all the rest. It's just very inclusive.
The idea of donating all of the profits to charity was Conor's idea. It's absolutely fantastic. It's something his family are heavily involved in, and it's something we all got behind immediately.
As soon as we heard that was someone suggested, it was like, yes, that is the one that we want to be involved with.
It's a couple different emotions I get when we talk about the food bank. I think it's great that everyone is so proactive in order to raise funds and raise donations for it. But I also think it's a little bit sad that we still have to rely on food banks like, you know, in 2018, 2017.
These people are recommended by their GPs. This isn't people saying, I'd rather spend my money down the pub. This is a GP saying, your children are malnourished. You need to go to this food bank.
Anyone can find themselves in a position where they've got to use a food bank. You could suddenly have a drop in your income, lose your job, you could be on benefits, you could be fleeing violence. We're available Monday to Friday for emergencies, and there's no other food bank in Glasgow that operates the way we do. It's about the food bank working with money advice services, social work. There's lots of mental health issues out here just now. People are becoming suicidal with their conditions or trying to deal with agencies that they don't understand. We're constantly relying on people to fundraise for us and to donate food. We reckon we go through £1,000 worth of food a week. That's not funded in any way, so that's always a struggle.
My name's Ryan McGeady. I am the volunteer coordinator for Drumchapel Food Bank. I became involved with the food bank sort of at a time when I was unemployed. I'd started volunteering here one day a week. There is certain points in the year where you'll see severe spikes. The holiday seasons that are around people's birthdays or things like that, they can get themselves into a lot of debt.
The fact that there is such a demand for food banks, there's a real deep-seated social inequality setting in where even people who are working can't afford to feed their kids. Whenever communities or people, families or individuals are confronted with a challenge or a difficulty, some of them won't manage it. Then there'll be others that will begin to innovate a way around the problem, and those people will then provide support to the people who are struggling. So while that's not an argument for food banks, as if somehow it unleashes community creativity, food banks represent something of a progression in some areas from a state of apathy towards politics in the community to one of being activised, and it's just a case of how certain communities choose to channel that. On
a Tuesday, that's our drop-in. So in the morning, the tables are all set up. It's set out like a kind of shop almost. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is about preparing again for the following week, doing the store, rotating the store, doing stock checks, making sure we know what we need. We've looked to see at what people need in their daily diet, and we look to provide that for a 7-day basis.
With the sort of growing knowledge of food banks in Britain, it's becoming more of a social norm.
Funding that we get from events such as Beer Makes Glasgow is absolutely essential to our food bank. We would not be able to survive without something like that. It enabled us to continue our food bank's work for about a month without worrying about where money was going to come in for food. Every day is a challenge, every day there's something different, but in the end we all pull together because we've got a great group of volunteers.
I think that anyone with the ability to take part in some form of activism in a community definitely should, because the results are quite profound.
Glasgow, by far, are the most generous people that you'll ever come across in the entire world. And to see everyone come together, especially in such a short period of time, and do something really good for not only the beer scene, but most importantly for the food bank, is just unbelievable.
I would like to hope that Beer Makes Glasgow continues. I'd like to hope that it becomes that benchmark beer festival.
It's been a perfect opportunity. We turned a disaster into an opportunity.
To the organisers and the people who attended Beer Makes Glasgow, I just want to say a big, massive thank you. You have no idea the difference you made to our food bank, and we are eternally grateful to you.